In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. You may be seated. Well, this morning we have two unofficial church holidays on the calendar. One that is more secular in religion, or in origin, I guess you could say, but obviously holds great significance to any one of us who happens to have a mother. Which I think is, yes, looking around the room, everybody here had a mother. The other unofficial feast day we celebrate today is called Good Shepherd Sunday. You may have caught on to that theme with some of our readings this morning. May surprise you to hear that most biologists believe that sheep are actually much dumber now than they were several thousand years ago. Domestic sheep are the result of long periods of strategic selective breeding. Cunning and clever were not the traits that sheep farmers over the years would particularly like, so it was much better if a sheep and their offspring were a little slow. Maybe much more likely to stay in the group. Less likely to wander off, easier to approach when it came time for shearing. So these were the sheep that were selected and bred so that those traits would be passed down. In fact, the way the sheep's wool grows and the texture itself are all part of that process as well. The long process of farmers intentionally choosing the sheep with the better wool, breeding those on the basis of those characteristics. Ancient sheep were not only thought to be much smarter, but also had no need of a shepherd for shearing. The domestic sheep that we're familiar with, of course, require the care and attention of somebody, of a human, to shear them when the seasons change. Ancient sheep, and even those found in the wild now, rid themselves of that excess wool when the time's right. They shed the excess that's not needed. Sheep are mentioned more than 500 times in the Bible, more than any other animal. Obviously, this is because they must have been pretty, ubiquitous in the parts of the Middle East where the Bible was written. But of course, the other reason why sheep are mentioned so often is because they just make for a pretty good example of understanding our place in the cosmos. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture, the Psalms said. God first uses the image of sheep when describing his people in Exodus. And this analogy is later applied, to all who are called by his name. And there's a few reasons for this. There's a number of reasons why this image just makes sense. Maybe the most obvious, though, is that sheep, of course, are one of the few creatures with no real defense system whatsoever. They're pretty bad at not dying when a predator comes into the fold. They're not, particularly fast. They don't really use their legs very well to kick the predators away. It's very hard for them to muster up anything they could be seen as even remotely threatening. Bah! That's all they got. They can do that a little bit louder. That's pretty much it. Sheep are totally dependent on the shepherd for their safety. Sheep are also dependent on the shepherd to rid that excess of wool. They're dependent. Because the sheep are usually very good at recognizing the voice of the shepherd. They know that they should follow this guy. They know that food and water and safety come from him. All the necessities, everything that I need to not die. This guy with a stick is gonna get me. So I follow him. Of course, this is ultimately a perfect picture of our role as Christians, to follow the shepherd, without any care or anxiety or any thought to anything else that's going on, follow the voice of the shepherd. Of course, today also marks our annual celebration of our mothers. Hopefully it's not the only day when we celebrate our mothers or the mothers in our lives. And I don't know if you know this, but every one of us went through an incredibly vulnerable period of our lives. It's called childhood. We're not like, the mammals in the animal kingdom where birth is followed by, maybe a quick lesson in standing and walking. And then an hour later, you're running away from something that's trying to eat you. Like, this is very, very different. We are very vulnerable for a really long period of time. A mother's care is crucial to a child's development. A mother's love doesn't wane, of course, when the child leaves the house, but a mother's love and care are so crucial, especially during those young years of dependence. We had Eve's birthday party yesterday. It's amazing how she's changed just in these 8 years. She went from being, this tiny little baby. Well, I guess she was never tiny, but this baby who was completely dependent, reliant on us to provide everything for her. Everything. There's not one thing that she could do on her own when she was an infant. And now being far more independent, to be able to dress herself and feed herself and actually sleep through the nights, all within just the span of a few years. Of course, I watched Jessica shepherd her, care for her soul and her body and her heart. And every day my heart grows in gratitude for what a mother's love can do for a child. So Mother's Day just happens to fall on Good Shepherd Sunday this year. And I think those two ideas really go hand in hand. Mother's Day, I think, gives us a glimpse into the heart of the Good Shepherd as well. The care for us who are so vulnerable. Good Shepherd cares for us and really only asks that we just trust Him. Just trust me where I'm taking you. Trust me to know where the food and the water and the safety is. Trust me, follow after. This trust is marked, of course, by that a daily reliance. A daily reliance on His knowledge of the landscape of our lives. His ability to follow through on the things that He promises us. To lead us to provision, both physical and spiritual. A true Christian, of course, is marked not by their belief that God exists. That's not what makes us Christians. But by their trust, their faith in God and His ability to fulfill His promise. It's not just knowing that He's there, or knowing that there is a God, in contrast to there not being a God. That's not what sets us apart. Christians follow. We move through this life following the voice of our shepherd. And of course, as we move through this life and toward its natural conclusion, this also means that we learn to rely on the ability and the navigational skills of our shepherd to usher us into the next life as well, into life everlasting. Hopefully the faith and the trust build over time as we see day after day Good Shepherd providing for us. We're studying the epistle to the Hebrews in our spiritual formation class, and I'd like to close this sermon with the benediction found at the end of chapter 13 of the epistle to the Hebrews. Now may the God of peace, who brought you up, our Lord Jesus, from the dead, that great shepherd of the sheep, through the blood of the everlasting covenant, make you complete in every good work to do His will, working in you what is well-pleasing in His sight. Through Jesus Christ, to whom be glory forever and ever.